Dial in your dart throws this summer. We share our 9 must-draft fantasy football sleepers for the 2025 NFL season. All this and more. It's a brand new IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me. Been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my FEC. Earn my stripes like I fixed this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right, and welcome into the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. With it already being the middle of July, we're heading back to the shore in this episode. That's right, it's our Sure Thing Sleepers of the season, Dart Throws with Upside episode. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and I've done a little bit of everything this summer, but I've yet to make it back to the shore yet. And maybe a man who has been there, because once again, he has a beach house that I have not been invited to yet. He's our entertainment and NFL betting expert here at IBT. He's Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. Steven, how are you, my friend? Thanks for taking the time out of your adventures and being here with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, every time I come on this show, man, you are just a liar. I've invited you multiple times to the beach, but you keep countering with a terrible offer for me to come to Amish country. Instead, that's your counter argument. I'm doing great though. I have been to the beach multiple times this summer. I'm cooking up a nice tan, getting myself all bronzed up and pretty. I'm actually heading back there this weekend. I got a concert I'm going to with a group, and we're heading up to the beach for a day. I love to read on the beach, man. It's my favorite thing to do. Take a good book and just cook in the sun. It's the best kind of day.
Nice. I wish I could read on the beach. I'm kind of too busy, doing some 12-ounce curls on those and just looking out at the water and enjoying the vibes. But a man who lives nowhere near the shore, unless you count probably like the Great Lakes, he's our jack of all, master of none. He's Jake the Snake Perry. Jake, how are you? And being firmly in the Midwest, what is your favorite shore town, Jake?
You know what? I'm doing great. Give me Amish country over the beach any day of the week. But my favorite shore town, the most fun I've ever had while being right on the shore, was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, honestly.
Okay.
Oh, I love Fort Lauderdale too.
Got a couple tattoos. My wife got tattooed. We were there for her birthday. Our hotel was right off, literally like one road off the water.
Wow.
So we would just walk down to the beach all day, come back and do whatever we wanted with the rest of the day. It was sick.
I want to go to the beach.
Sounds like good vibes. Steve, so you're from the Massachusetts area, of course, and you also have a beach house down in Florida. Where's your best beach town, you think? Like is it those, northeastern, those beach towns, or do you like Florida?
No, I love a good Florida beach. I will tell you that the prettiest beach I've ever been to was Huntington Beach out in California.
Okay.
That was just gorgeous. I love a good Florida beach though. Warm water is always better than cold water. I'm not a real ocean guy. Most gorgeous beach I've ever been on. I went to a private island in the Bahamas on a cruise, and that was probably my favorite beach.
Hot take. I actually love the Jersey Shore. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Wildwood Crest specifically, not Seaside. Seaside Heights gets a bad rep, but it's not even bad too. Delaware, also nice spot. And honestly, love the New England area. Mystic, Connecticut, Mystic Pizza. Anyone?
Mystic Pizza. I like. You know where my favorite beach town is? P-Town. I mean, come on. Seth, don't look up P-Town yet.
What is P-Town?
P-Town's the gayest place in America, brother.
Okay, all right. Well, that's all right. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Watch Hills, Rhode Island too. Watch Hills, Rhode Island, where Taylor Swift
Rhode Island
lives,
has some gorgeous places, and then Cape Cod.
That's why I'm saying, I think it's the New England area. If we're talking beach towns, I'm in.
We
New
have some
England
great beach towns. We have the up in Maine, really nice beach towns as well.
Yeah, my entire experiences on beaches are Fort Lauderdale, Santa Monica, and Kauai.
As far as the
three beaches I've really ever been to.
If you're talking the town themselves, New England has it on lock.
Mystic.
I would agree.
Mystic, Connecticut. That's the one right there. That's the one. That's the 101. Tonight on the show, it looks like this. Sure thing sleepers, top 9 fantasy football sleepers. Also a little off the top. What sleepers do we need to give up on? We're also be taking a trip down memory lane for some training camp moments. As always, before we get going, shout out to the IBT family who's tuning in. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new. Come be a part of our story as we continue to grow. Also, be sure to check out the website for some fantastic written content. And while you're there, consider getting a ticket to Draft Night Out. That's our live fantasy football draft at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio this August. And, you know what it's all about by now if you've been listening to this podcast on the Reggie. If you want to come draft with us and 200 plus of our closest fantasy football friends, this is the event for you. We'll have a shot wheel spinning, song singing, giveaways going off, everything in between. We're also currently running a hashtag Weekender special right now where you can get 10% off when you get tickets for both Draft Night Out and the IBT Classic. That's our golf scramble tournament on the day before the event. The link for that is in the episode description. Excited for a weekend out in Canton here. Jake, I know you're participating both in the Draft Night Out vibes and the golf scramble with a little team not made of IBT people. So a little competition for the boys.
I couldn't just pick IBT people. I had to bring. Yeah. I'm still like the new guy in my mind,
Sure.
Haven't even been here for a full year yet. So I was like, let's not dip into the IBT pool. Let's bring some of the homies and see what we can do. We got some sneaky good players for the scramble. I think we're going to be a good scramble team. But the real issue is going to be, I also know this group is going to have a good time. So the last 8 to 9 holes of golf could be not very memorable if you catch my drift.
Yeah, we're gonna have 2 beer carts rolling around. Trash sandwiches is gonna be on the sticks for one of those. So it's gonna get fun. It's gonna be potentially a little drunk by the end as well. But that's IBT football out there for you, babies. Again, hashtag Weekender. That's your promo code. Go to inbetweenmedia.com. Buy yourself a ticket to Draft Night Out and the IBT Classic. Let's make it a full weekend. Let's get a bender started. Let's have some fun out there on the course. Move right into the Friday party out there at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, and then get going again on Saturday with Draft Night Out when you need those Bloody Marys the next day because golf took one out of you. We got you covered. Don't you worry. All right, though, guys, let's go ahead and fire it up. Start it out with a little bit of Sure Things sleepers of the season.
It's the Sure Thing sleepers of the week.
All right, so before we get to our sleepers we're going to feature on this specific episode, we did have a way too early 2025 sleepers preview episode that we did all the way back on December 30th. Myself, Eric, and Steve. Steve, your sleepers, Ricky Pearsall, he's kind of just on that line of sleeper territory because the ADP has risen, but still great value. Theo Johnson, Trey Benson, of course, your homer from down there at Florida State. Those were your sleepers. Eric, Michael Penix Jr., Ty J. Spears, and Keon Coleman. I also had Drake May and Jalen McMillan that I added to that list. Jake, is there one particular person from those early sleepers that you think we got right back in December that you would still consider a great sleeper and a dart throw with upside as it stands today, July 15th?
100%. It's Drake May pretty comfortably. He's by far my favorite on this list. He has legitimate quarterback, like top 5 quarterback upside every single week he's out there on the football field. The rushing upside is as good as anybody out there that isn't named Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, basically. And, they're building this team up from the ground. They're bringing in new offensive line talent. They've brought in some receivers, with the Stephon Diggs addition here. They brought in Travion Henderson, who is a great player out of the backfield, great blocker out of the backfield. Like nobody else's situation has gotten better than on this list anyway, I should say. Nobody's situation on this list has gotten better than Drake May's, and he's by far the most talented of this bunch.
Yeah, I agree with you that I'm still all the way in on Drake May. We didn't want to feature him as one of our sleepers tonight just because he is a guy that we've talked a lot about this offseason. I also think Steve's called Ricky Pearsall. I mean, that's a guy that I was legit staring down, Jalen Waddle versus Ricky Pearsall, which I never thought I'd see the day. But with the recent news here, Steve, that we do have a potentially frustrated Jauan Jennings, who either wants to be traded or a new contract. I feel like we've heard that a time or two out there in the Bay Area. Ricky Pearsall looking like a better and better sleeper, borderline sleeper, now just more of a value candidate, probably still somewhere between that 100 and 120 ADP.
Yeah, something's up in the Bay Area for sure. Like the way their front office operates is definitely not to the player's benefit, it seems like, and it's causing friction.
They got him on a deal and he's mad now because he had a career year.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of their MO, right? Is they kind of sign you to a cheap deal before they use you, and then they use you on that cheap deal, and you are worth a lot more. Ricky Pearsall, though, we were coming off of a real letdown of a rookie campaign for him when I made this prediction. So he was a sleeper at the time. Obviously now with Jauan Jennings being upset, Brandon Ayuk essentially, it seems like he's back in the doghouse for some reason with Shanahan and coming off of injury and all that stuff. The door is open for Pearsall to take
very much
a much bigger role in this offense. I think with the 49ers getting older and their defense getting worse in this offseason, we're going to see Pearsall used in a different way. I think he is their fastest wide receiver that they probably have.
I agree.
So I would assume he's going to be kind of their yak guy,
gadget
a la
player,
Deebo Samuel.
Yep.
So I would see that role going to him. And so I'm still pretty confident in him as a sleeper.
Wide receiver 47 in ECR at Fantasy Pros, 107 overall. So right on the cusp of sleeper territory. Some people say it's, around that 100 mark is when you can start throwing out the sleepers. Other people say, oh, it's got to be 120 or outside the top 50 of the position group. We classified it for this specific episode outside the top 120 in expert consensus rankings, except quarterback. We're saying anywhere really outside the top 15. Those are the guys getting drafted in most leagues. So let's go ahead. Let's crack this open, and let's go to Jake first. Jake, you have quite a few players highlighted here, and one specific that I want to talk about at the running back position that is now getting steamed up draft boards following a bit of particular news that we received this week.
Yep, and that's going to be Jerome Ford. He's coming off the board currently coming off the board in the ECR. He's sitting at RB 53, 163 overall. This is more of if you're listening to this and your league's drafting soon, get him while you can, because he's going to shoot up boards very heavily. He's familiar with the system. He knows the offense. He's been here for forever. Yes, they brought in Quinshon Judkins, and obviously, the allegations going on around him are definitely not great for his outlook. Definitely not good considering everything else that Cleveland has done in terms of player choices over the last few years. But Ford, he knows the system. If that offense has shown you anything, if Kevin Stefanski's shown us anything, it's that he likes guys who know his system, and you can just go out there and play. And it's not like Jerome Ford is a world beater. He's fast. He's got a good speed score. He's a solid running back. He's a solid depth piece that they have. But we got to remember this guy, even last year in only 104 carries, admittedly, he still averaged 5.5 yards a carry. He still showed a lot of potential in his game. 7th amongst all running backs in yards per touch, 9th in true yards per carry, 13th in overall in juke rate. Like, the guy's got some skills. And when you're looking at this offense, and the quarterback position is a mess, I think, when you're looking at Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel,
Flacco,
Shadur, it's a mess. We don't know who's going to play quarterback. The wide receiver room is improved from last year.
Sure.
Stefanski's offense has always gone through the running back, and I don't imagine that changing. So Jerome Ford at this value here is just too good to pass on, because we're talking about a guy who has handled 200 plus carries in a season for him before.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. That's like the question mark here with Jerome Ford for me, is that in 2023, when Nick Chubb ends up getting injured, he takes over 200 carries that year, also chips in a good 44 receptions. He was, a borderline, I don't want to call him a fantasy rock star, but he was definitely a guy who helped fill an RB2 position for many managers down the stretch. And then he comes into 2024. He's supposed to be this lead back guy. People are drafting him that way, that, hey, until we get Nick Chubb back, Jerome Ford, he's a spot start for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks maybe. And it just felt like Donta Foreman was carving into that role way too much. We see some Pierre Strong as well, to the point where, yeah, Jerome Ford did miss a couple games, but his carries went all the way down to 104, still kind of held in that 30, 40 reception mark. So I just don't know how much they like Ford anymore is my issue with it. But I do agree that he needs to be drafted, as we're opposed before. Maybe we didn't think so. I'm going to go on the other side of this coin, though. I'm going to go with Dylan Sampson, 203 overall ECR, and also RB 60 in the rankings right now. And I wasn't super high on Dylan Sampson as a prospect, but still a guy who led the SEC in rushing, carried Tennessee to a CFB berth last season. And like with Quinshon Judkins arrested here on these alleged domestic violence charges, I think there is a chance that we do see some love for Sampson as well as a rookie if the Ohio State product is placed on like maybe some commissioner's exempt list. Because like bottom line, we're not going to get a result of this before the season, right? We're not going to. This is going to be something that's going to play out in the legal system. We all know how that goes. It goes on and on and on and on. But maybe there's an exempt list for Quinshon Judkins, and that would be the part that really screws it up for fantasy if you have Judkins, like I know Jake and I do over there in the Scott Fishbowl streets. But last season, like the ghost of Nick Chubb, Donta Foreman, Pierre Strong, as I mentioned, they combined for 199 carries in this offense. So touches are available. Even if let's say there's no Judkins at all, and let's say Ford takes 150, I think Dylan Sampson's a credit to get 150 of his own as well. And Jerome Ford, I think will be involved, but I think this situation more reminds me of the Packers, like 2017 backfield, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Williams was drafted later than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones banged up with injuries, some off-the-field stuff going on as well, that Jamal Williams, by the end of that season, he was the running back you wanted to roster, not Aaron Jones, not any of the veterans. So I think if you draft Judkins, you're drafting Sampson now, or you're drafting Ford. Mm-hmm. And even if you're not drafting one of those, you're not drafting Judkins, Steve, you still have to be in on Sampson or Ford, I think, at the price they're going at the back half of drafts.
Yeah, definitely, right? I mean, this is the 203rd overall player. Like, if he's coming off the board that late, I mean, in most cases, that's a free agent, right? I mean, that's what you're looking at here. So
do you prefer him or Ford?
I prefer Sampson. Listen, Jerome Ford always has a good yards per carry average because he is a very boomer bust kind of guy. He kind of has those breakaway long runs.
He does.
But the problem is the reason why he doesn't get the majority of the carries, even with that good yards per carry, is because most of the time he goes backwards. He'll kind of like -1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, -1, 40. And that kind of averages it all out. So I don't like guys like that. I know Stefanski doesn't either. He'd rather have that 4.5 yards that you can kind of take to the bank than this like east-west running style that Jerome Ford has. Good receiving back. That's good for a receiving back to go east and west. But you need to be a north-south runner in a Stefanski system. Sampson is a lot more of that. So I like Sampson better.
I feel like Ford is the guy here, Jake, that probably has the safer floor. And Sampson, you're kind of chasing the ceiling if Quinshon Judkins is to miss time. Is that how you kind of view it as well? And who do you prefer out of those two?
Yeah, I do view it very similarly. I think we kind of know what the roles are going to be. I do imagine these two to kind of be the go-to running backs in the offense. I'm not comparing it directly scheme-wise, but it's giving David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, albeit both players are less talented.
Sure.
Like if you look at Jerome Ford from 2024, third highest light front carry rate in football, sixth highest shotgun carry rate in football. Like in passing situations, Ford was the guy they wanted on the field 99% of the time, it feels like. He was over 75% on both of those. He rarely ever carried the ball in base formations or, stacked fronts. His defender in the box number was low. So, like, Sampson he's a bigger body. He's slower, which is going to impact that as well. And when I say bigger body, like, obviously he's shorter and lighter, but he's more compact is what I mean when I say that.
Sure.
I think Sampson gives you more of that bruiser type back, but I think Jerome Ford gives you more of that kind of game-changing ability that I think Sampson lacks a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead, Steve. Staying at the running back position, you also have a sleeper for us. It's going outside the top 150 picks. Who is it?
Yeah, I'm going with another rookie. It's Jaydon Blue for the Dallas Cowboys. I know he went late. I get that. Right. He's going 156 overall. He's an RB 51, but his competition almost couldn't be worse at the running back position in terms of who he actually has to beat to get a job. It's Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. And I remember a time when we were all in on Javonte Williams coming into drafts, into dynasty drafts, especially when he was like a hot topic. He was a big kind of get.
Well, and even earlier this year in like best ball, I remember we put out a clip even that we were all on Javonte Williams, but that was when he was going closer to like RB 48 in drafts, and now he steamed up the top. He's 36.
Gone up and up and up. Right. Jaydon Blue to me is one of those prospects that I think we'll look back on and be like, how did he fall so far in the real draft and in fantasy drafts? Because this is a dude who ran a 4.38 40. Okay. That is something that neither Miles Sanders nor Javonte Williams can really compete with, is just raw speed. And it's something that the Cowboys have lacked at the position for a while now. Tony Pollard, I think, was a bit of a burner back in the day. I don't know what his 40-yard dash was. I don't know if he quite hit that 4.3 kind of speed, but people act like Blue was just just a jag at Texas, and he wasn't. And not only was he good out of the backfield in terms of carries, he was good as a receiver as well. This is a guy who averaged 5.4 yards per carry last year, but he had 42 receptions for almost 400 yards. So he's able to give you 3-down production. He's able to catch the ball well. He's able to run the ball well. He is a north-south runner as well, which I know seems like everyone should be, but in the NFL and in running backs, they're just not. This guy just seems, it screams to me that the Cowboys got a steal, and Javonte Williams isn't scaring anybody off, and neither is Miles Sanders anymore. I don't know what happened to Miles Sanders, but also he's a terrible pass catching back, and Javonte, he's fine, but he's too slow. So I think Jaydon Blue could have a real role right out the chute with the Dallas Cowboys this year.
I don't know what to do with this backfield anymore, honestly, because like I said, I was in on Javonte early this offseason, Jake, and then the prices continue to rise to the point where I'm no longer comfortable paying that. And I would rather take a shot at Blue at his current ADP. And I mean, listen, this guy can run a freaking wheel route with the best of them. I just don't know how much work he will see on the early downs. That is, I guess, my issue. Could he be a guy who is taking a 50-50 share? I'm not sure. I don't know if is he a Justice Hill? I don't know where to land on these guys. So I don't mind taking the dart throw on Jaydon Blue. How do you kind of see this backfield shaking out? Because I see Javonte probably taking the early down work, and then Blue mixing in on some second and mostly third down action though.
Yeah, this is a backfield where if I'm taking any of these players, it's going to be Jaydon Blue. Jaydon Blue was my instinct as soon as I knew we were doing a sleeper show here. Steve came in and threw him in before I could.
Boom.
But I'm really high on the guy. What Steve talked about with the receptions, obviously 42 receptions, almost 400 yards, 9 yards of reception. What Steve also didn't mention, he led Texas in rushing touchdowns with 8. He had 6 receiving touchdowns that he added to that total as well. Yeah, he's not the biggest guy in the world. Yeah, he's giving, budget Nyheim Hines right now. But we got to remember, we saw something very similar in the Dallas backfield for a long time with Zeke and Tony Pollard. I'm not saying Jaydon Blue is the level of Tony Pollard by any means, because Pollard obviously ascended very much at the NFL level. But he could be that kind of guy in this offense, the guy where every time he's touching the ball, even if it's not a ton, even if it's just that 10 to 12 touches a game, those 10 to 12 touches can change the game because of that explosiveness, because of that speed. And I feel like we're going to go through the same cycle we did where it was always like, why isn't Tony Pollard getting the ball more? We're going to be saying that about Jaydon Blue, in my opinion.
I could definitely see it. And kind of sticking with the running back position, I did want to go to my next sleeper here of the night, and it's kind of the same mold, the speedier, more slender back, and it's Bhayshul Tuten for the Jacksonville Jaguars, currently going off the board, 158 overall, RB 52, so kind of in the same range. And the reason I think you maybe want to jump to it so quickly, Jake, is that like we've seen the running backs who have posted the fastest 40 times since really 2018, going back to Nyheim Hines, who had a real role his rookie season, was kind of a darling off the waiver wire early, produced for fantasy. But also, just since 2020, listen to these names. 2024, Isaac Arendo, fastest 40 time, pretty good rookie season when he got the opportunity. Devon Achane, RB1 during his rookie season in 2023 on a points per game basis. Isaiah Pacheco, guy you wanted down the stretch. Elijah Mitchell, RB2 that season in points per game. And Antonio Gibson, your guy, Steve, 2020. He was an RB1 on the season, RB2 in points per game, RB1 overall. So these guys who pop off at the combine, like a Tuten, like a Jaydon Blue, I think they're interesting. And to me, with Liam Coen getting an early day 3 explosive running back to use in how he likes in his system here, this sounds a lot like the setup for Bucky Irving's rookie season, where he would go on to finish as RB13 overall, averaging over 14 points per game in PPR format. So Tuten, he was a guy for me that solid prospect, Virginia Tech, so much hype last season. A lot of people CFP dark horse, ended up kind of falling off a little bit, but Tuten continued to do what he did. Over 2,000 rushing yards in 2 seasons under Brent Pry. I think that all things said and done, I like Travis Etienne as a prospect, but I think by the end of the season, it could be a 60-40 split in favor of Tuten, and Travis Etienne's kind of playing more of that Rashod White role at the end of the season that was really hard to trust for fantasy. So, Steve, I'm in here on Bhayshul too, and I would actually prefer him over a guy like your running back there in Jaydon Blue.
I get it, right? Like the measurables, right? Like the 40-yard dash it's sexy. I
you
get
hear
it.
those names? Antonio Gibson on that list.
Listen, I love Antonio Gibson, and I will scream from the rooftops that he should be a starting running back in today's NFL. Again, good player, but
Garendo, Jaco.
That you're losing me on Garendo. You're kind of losing me on Pacheco too.
He gets hype for him. Okay,
the issue with some of these guys is that they didn't have to beat out someone who really is a starting running back caliber player to get their job.
Fair.
Travis Etienne, I think, had a bad last season. Everyone did under Doug Peterson. It was a mess. And so bringing in Liam Coen, I think, and everything, I know it's coach speak. I know we are very wary of it, but as of right now, it sounds like everything is pointing toward Etienne being their guy. And there's no reason to go away from him just yet because he is a good runner of the football and he's a good pass catcher. There's not a lot that's showing me that. Plus, he would still have to beat out, by the way, Tank Bigsby, who looked pretty good last year too.
I think Tank Bigsby's always been a Jag. I thought that all the way back in Auburn when he was taking touches away from Jarquez Hunter, but that's just me, I guess.
Here's what I have to say about Tuten is that he was the fastest. He was the fastest running back in the draft, and he still fell as far as he did. That's usually not a great
he was an early day 3 pick. I mean, he almost got into day 2. Like it was,
yeah, but
dude, all those running backs were pretty much day 3 picks, other than Achane, really. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, 7th rounder. You know what I mean?
Right, but Pacheco became the starter because of like a series of things that went wrong. Like, and that's what has to happen.
Also was a bum, but yeah.
So like.
You're right.
Things to go wrong here.
You're right.
That's what needs to happen.
You're right.
That's why I don't love that.
Yeah, I understand.
Blue has to be competent.
More direct path. I get it.
Needs like 3 people to not be competent, and he needs to be competent in order to get a lot of work.
Jake, how do you feel about? Because like I was kind of getting back in on Travis Etienne a couple weeks ago, and the more I thought into like this Bucky Irving like narrative with Tuten, I'm scared off of the Jaguars running backs as a whole, except for Tuten. I'm just going to take my shot, kind of like the Cowboys backfield on the latest one that's going with, I think, the most upside. What do you say here?
Yeah, it's going to be the same boat for me as it sits right now. Tuten, everybody talks about the speed. Everybody talks about the explosiveness, the burst, all of that great stuff into it. The guy had 24 bench press reps. Like, this guy is just a strong physical freak. And sometimes those physical freaks that fall are the ones that I want to target the most because they have the most upside. This is an offense that I view as having a lot of upside. I just don't know which running back to target here, right? We saw Tank Bigsby be a Jag forever, and then he went to the Jags and then was still a Jag on the Jags. I still not in on Tank Bigsby. I don't think he looked as great as a lot of people do last year. Etienne looked poor. But guess what? It was also one of the worst run blocking offensive lines in football. He was banged up. That offense, it's a Press Taylor offense in the NFL. We should have stopped doing that before we started doing it. I think Tuten's upside is unmatched in terms of running backs that we've talked about here. Like, his is by far the highest upside. I'm not comparing him as a runner. to some of the guys that you said, I'm not comparing him to Devon Achane. I'm not comparing him to Jahmyr Gibbs.
Sure.
But he fits that mold in terms of just the pure physical talent that he has. And sometimes the physical talent, I mean, it's something you can't teach. Like, you can teach a guy to play running back. You can't really teach a guy to run a 4.3 40 and bust out 24 bench reps. You just can't do it. Like, this guy's a freak.
The way I look at it is, if you want to draft for safety and for some guaranteed touches, especially early in the season, you're drafting Travis Etienne right around somewhere between pick 90 and pick 100. But if you're chasing league winning stuff at pick 140 plus, you're drafting Tuten. That's what I see. And if you just want to waste a pick, you're drafting Tank Bigsby. Steve, how would you rank those guys in order of guys you want to draft? It sounds like you're more Etienne, Bigsby, Tuten. Is that how you are?
No, I'm probably more Bigsby. I mean, Etienne, Tuten, Bigsby.
Okay.
Is the upside. I don't think Bigsby's a good pass catcher. I also am an Etienne owner in Scott Fishbowl, so gotta root for my guy here.
Jake, real quick, Jaydon Blue or Tuten, who are you taking?
Tuten.
Okay. So that's kind of just a gauge. I think we're all very, very high on these guys. But before we move on, I did want to shout out a couple people in the chat tonight as well. Looks like we got some IBT family members rocking with us. Ben checking in right as we were going live. What's up, Ben? Good to see you, buddy. Ben? Got to see Ben at the IBT team meeting yesterday. We got some cool stuff with Ben planned for the fall, so looking forward to that. Yeah, we also got Kush checking in tonight saying running QBs rock. Hey, man, they're fun. It's a fun time in the NFL for sure. Let's go ahead, though. Let's move forward with some more sleepers, and going to go ahead and throw it over to you, Jake. Who do you have next on your list?
Yeah, so I think I think mathematically, this is the biggest sleeper that any of them pulled, and it's probably my favorite one, and it's Ja'Tavion Sanders. I am still a big Ja'Tavion Sanders believer. Everybody he ran the 40. Everybody got sad that it wasn't as fast as we thought it was going to be. And then it turns out that's still 75th percentile all time amongst tight ends. Like, the athleticism is there. That offense obviously was shaky. Bryce Young really turned it on later in the season. We had to see some Andy Dalton early on.
Yeah.
But there were stretches there where he was a legitimate guy that you could start every week with a little bit of confidence. He had a 3-week stretch, 5 or more targets in each of those weeks. And if we look at this offense and how I think they're planning to build, they're going to have to do it through the air. Like, that's where this team's skill set is. They lose Jonathan Brooks for another year. The running backs, like Rico Dowdle is there. The running back room inspires zero confidence whatsoever, but the passing game has inspired some confidence. They continue to invest in the passing game here. And Sanders is a guy who I think can be a big part of that. I mean, prior to him getting hurt, he was consistently breaking 75 to 80% snap share. Like, this guy was on the field a ton, and we hear about it all the time. And no matter how many times I and others have debunked it, we always hear the narrative, tight ends take a little bit longer to develop. Sanders just turned 22. Like, this is still a young guy heading into his second season in the NFL with good athleticism, and he's gotten some good production under his belt, coming off at tight end 28. So completely undrafted for the most part for tight ends, 236th overall. Like, this is a guy I would rather take at the end of my draft than take like a defense or a kicker, or like, I would rather take the shot on Sanders if I don't get one of the tight ends that I like, in that kind of top 10-ish range for me.
Oh, man, I got so many thoughts on Ja'Tavion Sanders because, first of all, shout out to my guy Scott Bogman over there, my co-host on the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast Sunday Night Recap Show, because we were tracking this last year for a while. He's a Texas boy, and Ja'Tavion Sanders had a little bit of a stretch there and then suffered that really gruesome injury. Luckily, he recovered from it quite quickly, which was really great to see. There were, question marks whether this guy was going to walk again, and all of a sudden, he's back. Undertaker, cue the Undertaker gift. So shout out to him for that. And I agree with you that I love the talent, but here's the two issues, Jake. First, you got Tommy Tremble, who this team will not give up on. Tommy Tremble, still listed number 1 on the depth chart.
As a Notre Dame boy, it warms my heart to see.
Well, I mean, come on. Like, we've been doing this since 2021. The guy has probably 40 career receptions. I mean, he just must be a tough blocker because he is out there all the time.
Yeah. He's an elite blocker.
Yeah, that must be what it is, because this guy runs a ton of routes. But it hurt Sanders last year. And speaking of Notre Dame boys, we got Mitchell Evans in there now as well. Another day 3 tight end that's coming in from your alma mater there in Notre Dame. So I just worry that I don't know. Like, I don't want to be part of a three-way tight end committee. It feels like the Colts from the last couple of years where, hey, you'd get a Mo Alley Cox game every once in a while, right? But have fun chasing that. So that's kind of where I stand on these tight ends, Steve.
Yeah, I love Jatavion Sanders as a player. I was always like, I was high on him.
A lot of people thought he was tight end 1 last year. Yeah,
I thought he
not
was good.
tight end 1, but like the clear tight end
the
2.
rookie. Yeah, like so, and and then he falls on his head and gets a compression injury, and those are always really scary. And anything spinal cord related is always a kind of terrifying experience. But I would imagine that he's going to step back into the receiving tight end role and let Tremble kind of own the blocking role. So it may cost him some snap shares here and there, but overall, like when you think about it, who's there? Who else do they have to throw to? There's Teteroa McMillan, and that's kind of it. There's a huge gap. There's the ghost of Adam Thielen, who has to be 100.
And Coker, Leggett and Coker. Coker was
They're
good
fine,
last year.
but like what
Hunter
all
Renfrow.
3 of those guys kind of have in common. Hunter Renfrow, I guess, is going to debunk this argument if he's any good at all. But there's no one who you're confident is going to take short yardage, nice short average depth of targets.
Yeah,
those A dots that stay close. All 3 of those guys are kind of deeper guys. Yeah. We've seen how Liam Coen uses his tight ends. It could be a very K-Dot-esque season for Sanders.
One thing I do want to mention with Sanders, though, yes, he can handle all of that short A-dot work really, really well. He was 34th amongst all tight ends in targets last year, was 13th in deep targets, and was 13th in explosive plays at the tight end position. Like, this is a guy who, again, can be that guy that sneaks through a defense. And I love me a tight end fade. Just run the seam, run the fade. It works more frequently than it should, and it's a great way to beat cover 2. Everybody is yelling about cover 2. It's like a tight end seam, done, easy. It works in Madden. It's got to work in real life. It does work in real life. But like, he's a guy that I think offers, that kind of, has the ability to mismatch against some of these more poor coverage linebackers. He's a guy who can chip block and get out in the flat and, still pick up yardage after the catch. Like, the guy's got a lot more upside than I think a lot of people realize.
Steve said Liam Coen. He meant Dave Canales, by the way. Sorry,
Dave
former
Canales,
offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It happens.
Yeah.
Steve, let's throw it back to you for your next sleeper, and let's unfortunately stay at the tight end position.
Yeah, you know what? This is a guy who burned people so bad that he's become an absolute value. It's Kyle Pitts.
He was in your hot takes episode, yeah.
It's Kyle Pitts, and I'll stand by it. He's the most athletically gifted tight end in the NFL today, and it's not changing. It's not changing. Now, will he ever be the tight end 1 that we all thought he'd be? Probably not. But he could be a tight end 1 very easily. This is a guy who did put up 1,000 yards as a rookie, then got hurt, had 2 years where that injury was obviously causing problems. He was never able to get into rhythm. Then with Kirk Cousins last year, it looked like he found a rhythm. Then Kirk Cousins lost all sense of how to play the game of football, totally forgot how to complete passes. Then we get Michael Penix, who was the most inaccurate quarterback of anyone who threw enough balls to be qualified to be tracked.
Wow.
And yet we're still harping on Kyle Pitts being bad. Well, when you only get 6, 7, 8 targets a game and 5 of them are wildly off target, not catchable, what are you supposed to do? But we've seen what happens when he has competent quarterback play that gets him the ball, because he can go for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns like he did against the Buccaneers. This guy still has it. He's so young. He's 24 or 25 years old. He's still a burner on the field. I think at this point, if he doesn't produce in the first half of the season, he's probably going to be moved. He'll probably be traded. And that's,
they've been trying,
you know
brother.
what? Get him somewhere else. Fine. But at tight end 19, with some of the garbage you're stuck drafting otherwise, at that position, I'm good. I'll take Kyle Pitts. I'll take that upside. You can have your Pat Fryermuth, who has to share the tight end room with 3 different guys and a janitor, because the Steelers and Arthur Smith will use anybody with a pulse at that position.
Yeah. Let's not fail to mention that one of those guys, one of those janitors, probably was the guy who beat out Kyle Pitts for targets. But I'll make the against Kyle Pitts argument later in the show. I want to get to that, so I will move forward. But this is the 4. Keep this in mind, folks. This is the 4 Kyle Pitts argument. Tight end 19 hasn't had good quarterback play thus far. Talented, athletic. Brock Bowers more athletic than him. I will say that as well. But let's get some more sleepers here, and then we'll get back to Kyle Pitts when we get to a little off the top, our cut one game at the end of the show. I'm going to go back to Jacksonville, where we do have Liam Coen there currently.
Thanks.
And I'm going to be targeting with one of my dart throws, Trevor Lawrence, going 112 overall in ECR right now, QB 18. And I just can't get that 2022 season out of my head recently when T-Law looked like the real deal. QB 8 overall, QB 14 on the season that year on a points per game basis for fantasy. Led the Jaguars to a playoff victory, if you remember, over the Chargers in epic fashion. Came back all the way down, multiple scores at the half. Then we're hanging tough with the Chiefs for a while in that next round before getting dropped. And I don't know if Liam Coen will be a long-term solution, but I think he could be good for fantasy and very fun for a few years, especially after Baker Mayfield's coming off that 41 touchdown season. They've got Brian Thomas Jr. They have Travis Hunter. They have guys like Tuten and ETN that we talked about. My guy, Brenton Strange, out there at the tight end from Penn State as well. And our boy, Diami Brown, Steve, he's also the wide receiver 3 in this offense. So for me, they're bringing Robert Hainsey, who comes over from Tampa. He's a veteran center who's been with Coen before. Patrick McCarry.
Sounds like you're from my neck of the
I was going to say he went full Boston on that.
Yeah,
one.
I did. It felt wrong. It felt wrong. And then Patrick McCarry, he also came over to play the middle of the offensive line, coming from Baltimore. So I think I kind of just came to this realization lately that the chess pieces are aligning for Trevor Lawrence maybe better than they ever have. So I went ahead. I laid my money where my mouth was. I wasn't afraid to draft him in SFB over quarterbacks like Dak Prescott, who I like, Jordan Love as well, and even my beloved Cam Ward. I was that high on Trevor Lawrence. I'm buying into the hype here, Jake.
Yeah, I am too. Seth, you and I were talking about this the other day, and I was kind of always a little below market on Trevor Lawrence, but this year I'm in. I mean, we get to see him in not Press Taylor's offense, and that enough for me. That alone is enough for me to be in. It's like when you get somebody outside of an Arthur Smith offense, you're like, all right, I'm kind of intrigued. But he's always shown the glimpses of what it takes to be a great quarterback in the NFL. And people want to talk about how big of a disappointment he was. He essentially rattled off back-to-back quarterback 1 seasons. He was quarterback 13 in points per game in 2023 after being quarterback 12 in 2022. And last year, it was bad. But at the same time, Evan Ingram, their best pass catcher, hurt. Christian Kirk, hurt. BTJ's a rookie. He's got to take some time to get fully ready. And Lawrence was still making things happen at times and still putting up solid performances. And sure, he was probably forcing the ball more than he needed to, but at the same time, with the pass catchers that he had, when your best pass catcher on the field is Parker Washington, you kind of got to force some things and make some things happen. But at this price, I'm back in. If he's one of my targets, if I'm not taking one of what I consider to kind of be the clear top 4 quarterbacks in your Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, if I'm not getting one of those guys, Lawrence is one of the first guys that I'm immediately thinking in my head, that's who I want.
Okay.
Ew.
Let's go ahead, Jake. I'm going to throw it to you for your next sleeper before we get to a couple questions here that I see coming into the chat from some first-time viewers. So let's go over to your third and final sleeper. Your last dart throw with upside for the 2025 season is?
It's going to be Trey Harris here. Coming off at 157 overall, wide receiver 63. I know the offense doesn't throw the ball a ton. Lad McConkey is him. Hashtag dog dads for Lad. If you know, you know. But I liked Harris as a prospect quite a bit. He gets that second round draft capital that we love out of wide receivers. Yeah, he's a little bit on the older side, but he's a bigger body wide receiver, which they really haven't had when QJ's been that guy for you, and we all know his hands just turn off for stretches of the season. I think Harris has legitimate, I'm not saying like game breaking upside in terms of fantasy, but when it comes to no investment, having a guy that realistically is probably going to be second on the team in targets when you look at the remaining competition that he has there for targets.
Assuming he signs a contract.
Yeah,
we'll get there. He'll get there. He'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, I just think overall, like, he offers something that no other player in this range does in terms of his true pass catching ceiling.
Yeah.
And so he was a no-brainer for me when I saw him. Like, he's a guy that I want at this range in draft. Like, I'm taking a guy in the 15th round of drafts. Like, yeah, give me Trey Harris.
Well, when you look at the guys around him in ECR, it's all guys with not clear paths. You know, we mentioned the ghost of Adam Thielen running out there earlier. He's right in that range, going to be up behind McMillan, obviously in the pecking order. Romeo Dobbs, who knows what's happening with him. Wan'Dale Robinson, probably another guy with a pretty clear path to targets, but not in a great offense. And then right around him, Jalen McMillan, probably the wide receiver 4 in his offense once Chris Godwin gets healthy. Kyle Williams, who's like the 4th wide receiver on his depth chart right now. I agree with you. It's the clearest path to volume at the wide receiver position in, wide receiver 63 overall right now, Steve. I'm with you. I'm in on Trey Harris here, and I think a lot of drafters will be as well. So you might have to spend up a little bit higher than current ECR.
Yeah, no, I've been in on Trey Harris. I was just saying the contract thing just as like a it's something to worry about.
Yeah. There's so much weirdness going on with the rookie.
There's a lot of weird
this year. Yeah,
something's up with the contracts this year, and I know like the Bengals are bongling.
Yeah,
their first round picks won, and then it was someone got a fully guaranteed. The Houston Texans,
Jaydon Higgins.
Yeah, Jaydon Higgins got a fully guaranteed deal as a second rounder, and that doesn't happen. Yeah, and now everyone wants it. So 30 out of 32 second round picks have not signed yet, so I'm sure he will. Trey Harris, I have said, has the potential to be the wide receiver 2 in this class, I think, for sure. So I'm pretty in on Trey Harris.
We got Dynasty is my life in the chat saying Harris is a dog. If he didn't miss games last season, he would have been taken sooner, in my opinion. Absolutely. I mean, this is a guy who was setting the SEC ablaze last year in that Lane Kiffin Ole Miss offense, did end up getting banged up. I think he only played about 8 games, or would have potentially led the country in receiving. Better than QJ, plays a different role than Ladd as well, so should get targets this year. Agreed with you. Dynasty is my life. Thanks so much for tuning in live with us here on the In Between Media YouTube channel. Steve, go ahead and round us out with your final sleeper of the season for 2025. What do you got, man?
Yeah, I'm going with Rashod Bateman, and I know this is a guy that it seems grosser than it is, but this dude finished wide receiver 30 last season, so all of a sudden he's going near wide receiver 60. And I'm like, if you're a sleeper, right? I'm not, most of the time we're not giving you guys that are going to become top 15 at their position or even top 20, but I'm giving you a guy who could be top 30 and you're getting him at wide receiver 57. I feel like that's a pretty good trade-off. That's what you want. That's a flex play that you can start week in and week out. He is the deep threat for the Baltimore Ravens. And we know Lamar Jackson likes to take deep shots fairly regularly in that offense. Rashod Bateman is their deep threat. Though as the season went on, he looked better and better and better and better and better. This is a guy who injuries killed him early in his career, but coming out of Minnesota, he was a real threat, and people thought he'd be a real asset in the NFL. And now we're starting to see it. And we bailed too early on a guy who injuries slowed down the beginning of his career. I am in on Rashod Bateman, if only because he has proven that he can wildly outproduce this draft position.
No, you're 100% right about that. The finish was great, but the thing is, it was a scary ride, right? Like you're going on a ride where you only had 72 targets last season. The pie's not big. I'm expecting Zay Flower to potentially take a bigger step up here this season. Adds on to his rookie year, 116 targets last year for Flowers. I'm very much in on Flowers, I think, who can have a little rejuvenation here. We got D-Hop in the mix as well that I think could complicate things for Rashod Bateman. So, Jake, it's like a no from me for Rashod Bateman, but like, Steve, you're absolutely right. He will finish better than what he is ranked. So he is a sleeper in that standpoint. I just don't want to play a guy who could go out and get you 4 targets, even if 2 of them are going 55 yards or something crazy like that, man.
I love Shoddy B. I hate that they took one of the best route runners in his class and then just turned him into a deep threat.
Right.
But I get where Steve's coming from here. Like the game-to-game upside is high enough. Like we're talking about Shoddy B at this price, whereas like Christian Watson was the same dude. Like the boomer bust, like if he doesn't break a touchdown, week kills you. And people were hyping him as a top 24 wide receiver and taking him in the top 20 to 30 wide receivers off the board. At this price in Shoddy B, like I think he gives you a better floor than most of the wide receivers at this point. And the upside is as good as any. Like honestly, if Zay Flowers, like if something were to happen to him, if an injury were to pop up, I think if you put Shoddy B in his role, I think Shoddy might be more productive.
Okay.
Maybe a hot take, but I love Shoddy B.
Okay. No, dude, I love the prospect. Him and Tyler Johnson were my guys at Minnesota, man. Like they were carving up the Big Ten there for a second when the Golden Gophers were back on top. So great analysis there for sleepers, guys. We got a comment in here. You also have to bank on Lamar throwing for 40 again. Yeah, that's the other thing with Rashod Bateman. That would be a little scary. But love the analysis, love the takes either way, guys. Let's continue this conversation about some sleepers and a game we like to call a little off the top.
Just a little off the top, ain't talking about a fade or a crop. Steady hand, know when to stop. Just a little off the top, whoa, easy now.
It's a little off the top. It's our cut one game. And first of all, we're going to put in the guillotine cut one sleeper, quote sleeper, that people are still trying to make happen. Of course, there's Anthony Richardson. I can hear the stands from here. Quarterback for the Colts, currently going 228 overall, QB 29. Currently is visiting Neil Elitros, the doctor out there in California, getting that shoulder looked on, the same shoulder that got banged up and caused him to miss the second half of his rookie season. So some concerns there for Anthony Richardson. Kyle Pitts, another guy who, I mean, Steve, you touched on him earlier as a sleeper, 164 overall, tight end 19. It's a great value for the proposition for the talent that is Kyle Pitts, but this seems like a team that, couldn't wait to get him off their roster and tried multiple times this offseason. The Steelers said, hey, actually, we're just kidding. We'll take Jonnu Smith from Miami instead. Marvin Mims for the Denver Broncos was editing in a video earlier for Fantasy Pros. My guy, Terrell Furman Jr., a little T Furman action. He's on Marvin Mims this season as well, going 150 overall, wide receiver 59. I mean, I think we all liked Marvin Mims to start of his career, but, a lot of question marks there. And then Blake Corum, running back for the Los Angeles Rams. I beat the drum louder than everyone, I think, last year. Burned a bunch of draft capital in the 8th, 9th, 10th round on him, 180 overall, RB 57. So, Steve, cut one sleeper that people are still trying to make happen. Who is it and why?
It's pretty easy for me. It's Blake Corum, and it's because there's nothing special about him. There's nothing he does particularly well that makes me say, well, he could be a this. Marvin Mims is a great deep ball threat. I don't know why he is. He just is. He's really good at catching deep passes. Kyle Pitts is an athletic freak, and so is Anthony Richardson. Monster arm, monster with his legs. Blake Corum, what's his special skill set? What is he elite at? Nothing. And that's a problem. And they're already kind of bringing in new talent at the running back position. Sean McVay, one thing we know about him is he does not care where you got drafted as a running back. He will, if you don't live up to what he wants you to be, and it happened to Cam Akers, right? Like Cam Akers is a good running back. Like he's a productive running back. Make him the starter and he'll give you a 100-yard game here and there. Like he can do it plenty, but it wasn't what he wanted. And Blake Corum, he's not fast enough. He's not a good pass catcher. He's not a great pass blocker. He's kind of just like, I thought he'd be better. I really did. I was with you when he came out of Michigan. I was like, I thought there was something there. And it turns out that he may just be a product of a really good offensive line.
Well, and I think part of it too, and, probably a misstep on your and I's analysis coming in last season was Blake Corum got zapped by that injury. I think it's one of those situations he has not fully recovered. I don't know if he'll ever get that explosiveness back because really at the end of that Michigan championship run, Yeah, we were seeing a lot of Blake Corum, but it was like what inside the 5, goal to go situations. And it was Donovan Edwards, a guy who couldn't even get himself drafted, walks onto the New York Jets practice squad here this offseason. That was kind of really the big play, the home run guy in that JJ McCarthy led championship team. So I think I'm with you. Like, I want to stop making Blake Corum happen. I have Jarquez Hunter. Like, I've already moved on myself. Like, it's kind of that, that girlfriend who comes back to you after a couple months and wants to get back together after she dumped you. And I was like, no, dude, you dumped me. And like, I found a new girl and her name's Jarquez Hunter and she's a baddie. So I'm with you on Blake Corum, but it's Kyle. I think it's just Kyle Pitts for me, Jake. I just think every team is trying to get rid of this guy. I'm tired of trying to making him a thing happen. I think it's going to be harder for him to be a thing than Marvin Mims, who realistically could be the wide receiver 2 in the depth chart for the Broncos. Where do you kind of fit in on this group of quote unquote sleepers?
Yeah, I never was in on Anthony Richardson, and I still don't get why people were. I get the athletic freak. Cool. If you want an athletic freak who can't throw the football, take your fastest wide receiver and put him at quarterback. Like, we're talking about a guy who couldn't complete passes in college. His shoulders were trash in college. He was constantly hurt in college. He comes to the NFL, can't complete passes, always hurt. It's what he like. So I think there's such thing as being too athletic for your body. And that kind of is the vibe I get from him. Like, he tries to do things because he knows he has the athletic ability to do it, but his body doesn't want to do what he's trying to make it do. And I get the rushing upside. Even last year, only 11 games played, 500 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, quarterback 18, 40. And like, you look at why, and it's 47% completion percentage. The dude can't complete passes. He had good pass catchers around him. I think Michael Pittman and Josh Downs are 2 of the most underrated receivers in the NFL today. And he can't make anything happen with the arm. And no matter how good the rushing upside is for him, he's never it's Tim Tebow all over again. And I hate to do that because I love Tebow, but the guy just can't throw a football.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, man. I was someone who did buy into Anthony Richardson that he could be a project, and I just think when you're getting hurt constantly and you're not able to stay on the field and get those reps that you need, especially throughout the offseason here again, right? That's the toughest part for me. Can we just cut all these guys? Like, I'm okay. Like, if these guys if these guys got deleted from all my queue and I wasn't able to draft them, and newsflash, I haven't drafted them all off season, I wouldn't care. Steve, who do you care about? Obviously, I know Pitts. One of them.
Yeah,
is that the only one?
Because here's the thing. We're saying, Kyle Pitts the sleeper. Kyle Pitts has never been a sleeper. We've always treated him as last year. No, he wasn't. We treated him again as an elite option because he had Kirk Cousins coming in. We've always treated Kyle Pitts as a top 5 option. Always treated Kyle Pitts as a top 5 option. He's always been treated as an elite player. This is the tight end 19 now. This dude was always in the top 6 or higher tight ends drafted. And now we're getting him at tight end 19. This is the first time we've ever had him as a sleeper. He's outperformed tight end 19 every year, by the way. Every year he's better than tight end 19.
But if you're not like tight end 14 or above, you're probably not worth being rostered.
He is. That's the thing. And we're just mad. Like, people are mad that he's not top 3 or top 5 because that's what he could be. But we're letting our frustration with what he could be. There's a saying my dad has said to me a million times in my life: don't let perfect be the enemy of very good. And that's what we're doing with Kyle Pitts.
I understand. I understand 100% there. Really like the analysis and breaking that down with you guys. I did want to get to a question here before we round out the show with little training camp moments. Needs a tiebreaker from us. Dynasty in my life, 12-team Superflex start 9 contender. Send Jackson Smith-Njigba, Luther Burden, a 27 first, a second rounder for CD.
No.
This would give him Puka, JSN, Godwin, Diggs, Judy, Trey Harris, Burden in his wide receiver room. It's
a comfortable no for me.
Yeah, I'm not sending JSN and picks. I could care less about Luther Burden. You guys know my opinion on Burden, but I'm not sending. Would you do this, Steve?
I'd do this.
You think CD's that much of an upgrade over JSN at this point?
I do. And I think we have to look at the fact that JSN's situation has gotten significantly worse with Geno leaving town. And I know that seems crazy considering what Sam Darnold did with the Vikings, but we don't know what Burden is. I'm not super sold on him ever getting enough volume in the Chicago Bears offense, really, like anytime soon. He'll be a buyback candidate. A 27 first with this kind of wide receiver room, you're probably going to be pretty good because you have Puka and CD. You probably have the two highest target totals in the league right there. CD's young. He's elite. That's an elite player. JSN, I don't know if he's really going to be elite like that.
He's 23 though. Like I think it's just like my ageist bias, right, Jake? I think that's a thing. I don't know if I can trade for a guy in CD who is 3 years older, born in 99. And look, there could be question marks for Dak Prescott down the road, who hasn't stayed insanely healthy. He's in his 30s now. Like I think there are question marks.
So here's my problem with this trade, and we keep pricing CD as an elite option. I think he's a tier below elite. Like he obviously 2023 was phenomenal, nearly 24 points per game in PPR. But then immediately in 2024, yes, Dak got hurt. Dak's old. That's going to happen. He immediately regressed back to essentially what he was in 2022. And there were a lot of people who were really disappointed in CD for a stretch last year because the season didn't start out super hot for him. He didn't put up a wide receiver 1 finish until week 4. I don't think, and like the price you're paying here, you're paying elite prices for CD, which I just can't get on board with. Burden probably just cost you a first-round pick, late first or an early second. So even if you go bullish on it and call it an early second, JSN's probably worth at least a first and a second in trade. So you're sending 2 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks for the wide receiver 7. I think if you sent that same package for someone, I think you can get a better wide receiver for that package. I don't think CD has to be the target here.
Yeah, I think it's like I would pay that price for probably Jefferson and Chase and maybe Neighbors just because he's a little bit younger.
Yep.
Those would probably be the only wide receivers I'd be comfortable. But I'm sorry, you're also going to need another tiebreaker because you know we're split on this decision. Steve makes a really good point too that sometimes you do just want that elite player, and it is great. But so if you're going trophy hunting, I get it, Dynasty. I get the question here, but. I'm always very hesitant to sell picks, even when I'm a great team. I love my draft picks. I love to have them. You might regret that next May. So appreciate the question, man. Hope you subscribe to the channel for more fantasy football and NFL betting content. Last question here of the night, boys. Cut one memorable NFL training camp moment. Geno Smith loses his starting job after teammate breaks his jaw. Let's take a look back at the infamous 2015 training camp for the New York Jets.
It looks like Geno Smith should have kept his helmet on in the locker room Tuesday. The Jets quarterback was clocked square in the face Tuesday morning by reserve linebacker IK Enemkpale, who broke Smith's jaw with the blow. Jets head coach Todd Bowles announced Smith will miss 6 to 10 weeks and will have surgery. Bowles said about the fight, quote, "It was nothing to do with football. It was very childish. He got cold cocked, soccer punched, whatever you want to call it, in the jaw. He's got a broken jaw, a fractured jaw."
So this was like the infamous downfall of Geno Smith for a bit, right? He was expected to be the Jets starter in the 2015 season, going into his 3rd season before getting punched by IK, who was released by the team. Ryan Fitzpatrick ends up taking over this gig, would never regain the job, does Geno Smith, a full-time starting job anywhere until 2022, 7 years later. So IK hurt more than just Geno Smith's nose, potentially his wallet for a few years, his pride as well. Another training camp moment that, how can we forget it? It's old Brett Kiesel rolling up in a tractor to Steelers training camp in 2013. Let's go back in time to this one. Big Diesel, baby.
Like my ride?
Nice.
Huh?
How's it handle?
It handles pretty good, actually. know, for an off-road dump truck.
Tough on gas mileage, though.
No, it gets good gas mileage.
How's that?
It's a diesel. We all get good gas mileage. No, I thought, you know, since this is kind of a construction zone around here, I brought my hard hat. We're constructing our team. We're excited about this year. I think everyone's written us off, but we feel like, you know, we can construct hopefully a championship team.
You gotta love that, man. I always love when, you know, people roll into training camp in different fun vehicles, planes, trains, automobiles, you name it, guys. And Brett Kiesel rolling in here to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, iconic area with the big rig. Was just another day out there in the St. Vincent College campus. A couple more moments here before we make our cut one decision. Jarvis Landry gets fired up. Let's hear what Jarvis Landry had to say all the way back in the 2000 teens one day in training camp.
If you can practice, practice. You can't get no better. Ain't nobody gonna get better by being on the sideline if you ain't hurt. If you're not hurt, you gotta practice. Because you make other work even harder. Now they had more risk of getting hurt because you don't want practice. Because you being a all that weak don't live here no more. That don't exist. It's contagious, bro.
It's contagious, bro. A little fired up there from Juice Landry. Allegedly, this was somewhat addressed directly at first-round pick and former Biletnikoff Award winner Corey Coleman, who was faking injuries to get out of practice. And the last famous news story that we got from an NFL training camp just a couple years ago, Aaron Rodgers debuts a new look. Of course, inspired by the movie Con Air. Let's take a look.
Into camp rocking long hair, a beard, a white tank top, light blue jeans. Does he remind you of anybody?
Nick Cage.
Nick Cage, baby. Con Air. Packers fans and Nick Cage fans caught on pretty quickly. He was channeling Cage's character, Cameron Poe, from the 1997 film Con Air. Yep.
So, from Aaron Rodgers, awesome look. Jarvis Landry getting fired up at Corey Coleman. Brett Kiesel on the diesel. And Geno Smith getting sucker punched. Steve, what is your one training camp moment that you're cutting? And what's your favorite as well?
So my favorite is easy. It's Jarvis Landry. I love Jarvis Landry. I've been a fan of his like forever. I love when a guy fires up his team and shows leadership, and people can like clutch their pearls all they want at the profanity and whatnot, but like that's what you do. Anyone who's been an athlete for 10 seconds in their life knows sometimes you got to just lay into people, and that's how it goes. If I'm cutting one, it's the stupid Aaron Rodgers wearing a beater to like, just so annoying, like such a pick me attitude. It encapsulates everything about Aaron Rodgers that I can't stand. It's so disingenuous. It's so fake. It's so, and what's worse is he played it off like, it's just
another
me,
day at the office.
Like, I wasn't really trying to do anything, man. Like, oh my God, he's such an attention seeking, like, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I was ready to cut that Steelers one because I hate when someone gets on and goes like, do you like my ride? like, buddy, were you not hugged enough as a child? But Aaron Rodgers may not have been hugged enough as a child because every move he makes is annoying. He's that annoying kid in class who like does something really loud and obnoxious, and when the teacher's like, hey, knock it off, he's like, what? I didn't even do anything. You're freaking out for nothing. We all know that kid in class, and that's Aaron Rodgers. So I would cut that and cut Aaron Rodgers. The NFL world would just be better off when he rides off into the sunset.
That's my quarterback out there in the Berg this year. So, like, and honestly, I'm like the Aaron Rodgers defender, but that one is kind of hard to defend. But I still ain't cutting it. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, no, I'm not cutting that one. Get the Geno Smith stuff out of here. I get he didn't get to start because he got punched in the face. That was the best Jet season Todd Bowles ever had. That might have been the best thing that for Todd Bowles' career that ever happened. Geno was atrocious in 2014. He was atrocious in 2013. He was not a good quarterback until he went to Seattle and got fixed. Like, there's a reason he didn't start anywhere. even when he got a chance again in 2016 with the Jets, he was the backup. Fitz gets benched for a while. He comes in, plays a game, makes a start the next week, and he tears his ACL. So it's like, that's part of the reason he didn't play longer too. Like, it wasn't just that he got punched in the face and broke his jaw, which like obviously
but the fact
sucked.
that someone sucker punched their starting quarterback, broke their jaw. Like,
do you know what it was over
crazy.
to? It was over like a $600 plane ticket or something.
Yeah, it was over something so dumb. It was amazing to see that story. It wasn't a good thing. It was just an amazing thing that happened where grown men
builds character.
There's a different way to build character than like it not only knocked Geno Smith's career out cold for a long time, it ended IK's career. Like,
yeah, right. I see. That's why I'm not
like he had much of a career to begin with,
but he had one. He had one.
He got signed by teams afterwards,
and then sucker punches Geno, and essentially is just lost forever. His only mark in the NFL is that he sucker punched Geno Smith and broke his jaw, and
that was the best thing to happen to the Jets in 2015.
I know.
That was the best thing that happened.
That's why you keep it. You have to keep the moment.
I'm keeping it just because it builds character. It's a good story.
I want to keep the moment. I don't care that it happened.
You're saying IK did him a favor, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Geno doesn't get the contract he got a couple years ago if IK doesn't punch him in the face.
Who knows what happens in
Geno
2015? We didn't see him
to
for
start,
7
got
more
benched
years.
again. He would have started somewhere else, got benched again, and he wouldn't have even made it to Seattle. He would have been.
Which one are you cutting, Seth?
I'm cutting Jarvis Landry, not because what Jarvis did, but if we watch back a quick second of this, you can see Corey Coleman sitting there like in the middle with like his head down and his hood up. So let's look at that real quick again.
If you can practice. You can't get no better. Ain't no.
Like he's just sitting there like, oh no, it ain't me, dude. Like who you calling out, brother? Like that. I wasted enough draft capital on Corey Coleman over the years. That's what I'm cutting here, Steve.
I mean, that's fine. For me, that moment is much more about Jarvis showing leadership. And to be fair, it did translate. I mean, the Browns did make the playoffs with Jarvis Landry on that team. So it worked. Corey Coleman, you know what? All the talent in the world, he probably should have practiced harder. He should have listened to Jarvis Landry. When you get a guy like Jarvis Landry who overcomes being pretty physically mediocre as a wide receiver and is one of the better guys in the game, when he starts yelling at you, you probably should listen to what he says.
It's contagious, man. Yeah, that is a great line. But either way, all these moments are awesome because here's the thing. NFL training camp is awesome. If you have a team that's out there for the summer, the boys of summer rolling in for the next couple of weeks, go out, support them. It's a fun time. If you have kids, take them. If not, take the boys or head down there with the significant other. Enjoy the time.
F word as a kid.
Okay. Yeah.
Going to Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp when I was a little kid, and John Gruden was the head coach.
Yeah, hey, that checks out. That's John Gruden football right there, baby. And this is the In Between Fantasy Football podcast, and that is going to do it for us. If you've rode with us this long, please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've got NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR betting, PGA betting, and some entertainment betting, all to help you cash more and to enjoy the ride along the way. Also, be sure to check out inbetweenmedia.com for some written content and upcoming live events, including Draft Night Out and the IBT Classic happening at the Fantasy Football Expo this summer. We want to see you there. For Steve Lawson, Jake Perry, and of course, our guy behind the scenes, Kyle Scott, I'm Seth Wilcock. Thanks for watching and keep it in between. Until next time, y'all.